Hey, this is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. Well, what if I told you there's a 30-second test that you can do at zero cost in the comfort of your own home that will give you a really good indication of where you are as far as your physical shape is concerned. And you can compare yourself to other people in your own age group and be able to determine if you're in as good a shape as you think you are. Well, it's frankly that easy. It's called a sit-stand test, and all it requires is a sturdy chair, preferably without arms, that's about 17 inches high, and a stopwatch so you can keep track of how long 30 seconds is. And all you're going to do is start from a sitting position, put your hands on your shoulders so you're not going to use your arms to help yourself up, and then for 30 seconds stand up and sit back down and try to do as many ups and downs as you possibly can within 30 seconds. And you count how many you do. And when you're done, you will actually have a pretty good indication as to what type of shape you're in, or where you fit as far as other people in your age group is concerned, as far as your physical condition is concerned. If you're like me, you're 6 years old and you can do that 17 times, you're about average. If you're below 17, you're below average, which... Why does this matter? Well, for one thing, it's nice to have some sort of baseline as to where you are as far as your physical condition is concerned. I mean, you could spend thousands of dollars going to a cardiologist, getting a stress test. You could spend a lot of money going to a lab, getting a special VO2 max test and that type of thing. But, to get a good indication as to where you are physically, for zero cost, you just do this test, and you may be thinking, well, has it been tested? Yeah, it's been tested quite a bit. There's a lot of science behind this one. It's been done in different age groups over time, and kind of like the grip test. The grip test is just, one of the things that they will do in the hospital to kind of give you a sense of how strong you are, what your muscularity is. The greater the grip strength, generally that's a good proxy marker for how strong you actually are, which can be really important when they're trying to decide whether you are going to get a new hip after having a fracture, because they don't want to do it on frail people. Frail people just do not survive those type of surgeries. You want muscularity, and your ability to be able to get up and down is kind of a proxy marker for your overall strength, particularly in your lower body. And this is what, if you can get up and down very easily, you've got more mobility, you've got strength, and some cardiovascular effort. Trust me, I mean, when you try to do as many as I do, I mean, I'm trying like crazy. I'd like to get mine up to in the upper 20s. You will be kind of huffing and puffing at the end of 30 seconds. It kind of catches up with you. It starts off, it's like, oh, this is easy. And then about 15 seconds into it, it's like, okay, this is getting kind of intense. So you'll notice it, and even just 30 seconds. But it's, like I said, a really good proxy marker for being able to determine what type of shape you're in. And it's nice for people like me because, I know, when I lifted weights, I could tell objectively, how much stronger I was getting because, you're putting on extra weight on there and you counted reps, etc. When I'm using bands, I kind of have a sense of, that I am getting stronger because I'm using thicker bands and I'm doing more reps, etc. But I do mine based on time, not by the number of reps that I'm doing. And, I can tell I'm getting stronger, but when I do this test about once a quarter or so, I've got kind of an objective marker that, hey, last month I did 22, now I'm up to 23. Things are getting a little bit better. I'm a little bit stronger than I was last time. So, it's not a bad little proxy test. One other note though, you don't want to be average. When you think about it, the average person in the United States right now is pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic. The average person is overweight, and they are in horrible shape. You really want to be well above average, if at all possible. So, you may start off right now, you may be average, but use it kind of as a beginning point of, hey, I'm going to work to get better than the average, because frankly, you don't want to be the average American, because the average American is going to be in a nursing home at some point, and stuck confined to a wheelchair, because they just don't have the metabolic reserve, the muscle strength, and they're going to be losing limbs, and you don't want to be that person. So use it as a cheap proxy test that you can objectively look at to see where you are and to see if you're getting stronger. What you're doing is actually working to make you stronger, faster, better than you were than when you started, eating better, doing more exercise, moving more. These are things that, it's nice to have some sort of objective measure, and I will include a link to the studies to this that show just how effective this test is and where you need to be. So, utilize it as a tool, and it's an inexpensive tool, but it's, look, I could include push-up tests. There's all sorts of tests that I keep finding to see where you fit as far as other people are concerned. How many push-ups you can do is not a bad proxy marker for upper body strength. But frankly, not everybody can do push-ups. So start where you are. Nearly everybody that's watching this should be able to at least stand up out of a chair. And learning to get that count within the 30-second range is a great way to track your progress. And just keep getting better, keep getting stronger, move more, do more cool stuff, make yourself stronger because you deserve it. And frankly, our system is not going to reward you for getting healthier. If you want to get healthier, that's on you. You're the only one that can do it, because in this fight for our health, we are all alone. But we can all be alone in this together. This is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. I try to put out a couple messages each week. If you like this message, please hit like and subscribe. Join this channel of other like-minded folks. I will talk to you again soon.